What is up, everyone? And it is way, and I mean way past time for me to finally talk about my top 5 favourite movies of 2015. This movie went by like a bullet, and my goodness, a lot of really big movies have come out this year. And now it is time to talk to you about my personal top 5 favourite movies of 2015. This is the time of year where I can just let loose and give you guys my personal favourite movies of 2015. Now, a couple of things I need to let you guys know. Besides, I chose to do top 5 instead of top 10 because I don't have the time or money to be able to go to the cinemas to see every single movie that comes out in theaters. I don't get paid to do YouTube videos. This is just something I do as a hobby. I just enjoy sharing my love for movies. That's why I do YouTube. And so, since I don't get paid for this, I haven't seen every single movie that comes out this year. I only get to see 15 or so movies this year. So I chose 5 to represent the highlights. What movies did I enjoy the most this year? So that's why I chose 5. The second thing I need you guys to know is that these are my own personal opinions. I am not going to treat everything I say in this video as a fact because these are not facts. I'm just a teenager who lives in Australia who loves movies. And so everything I say in this video will be, believe it or not, opinions. If you disagree with me, just politely give me your top 5 or top 10 lists of your favourite movies of 2015 in the comments down below. Because, believe me, disagreeing with me is inevitable. And lastly, but before we get into the final list itself, I do have a couple of honourable mentions. I have 2 movies that I really enjoyed this year. They just didn't make it to the list because there were 5 movies that I enjoyed more. My first honourable mention is Pitch Perfect 2. This is a very entertaining movie. It had better and more complex characters and a better and more engaging story than the original movie, in my opinion. And not only that, but it felt like the comedy was more frequent than the original, the comedy was funnier than the original, and the acapella was taken from the first movie and cranked up to 11. The acapella in this movie blew me away. I actually started watching acapella covers of my favourite songs on YouTube because of this movie. Like, that Sound Machine's performance of Fall Out Boy's My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark in the climax just floored me. It blew me away. And I thought this was a very funny, very entertaining film, and it's by far one of the very few sequels I would say is actually better than the original. I actually think it's better than the original Pitch Perfect movie. Pitch Perfect 2, very fun movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. My second honourable mention is Star Wars The Force Awakens. I've actually seen this at number 1 of the best movie 2015 lists. And while I will say I definitely was involved in the Star Wars craze, I even went ahead and I bought the entire saga on Blu-ray. On Blu-ray, I've got all 6 movies. I've got episode 4, 5, and 6, the original trilogy. Unfortunately, it's a special edition. And this even has the prequels. But I don't care because it's a great box set and the Blu-ray looks awesome. So, yep, I got the whole Blu-ray set. And The Force Awakens did not disappoint me because I thought it had a very interesting and very engaging characters. It was great to see Harrison Ford as Han Solo back. It had a very engaging villain. In fact, I feel like the villain was the best aspect of The Force Awakens, as well as some very great action, and being directed by Mission Impossible 3's director, J.J. Abrams. And he did a fantastic job at taking over Lucas and directing a great Star Wars movie. How long ago has that been since we last had a great Star Wars movie? It's just not on my list because there were 5 more movies that I just liked more than The Force Awakens. What are those movies that I enjoyed more than The Force Awakens? Well, here they are, starting at number 5! Mad Max Fury Road is a movie I only seen up until around recently, but I'm glad I saw it before making this video because it was a very fun, very entertaining action movie, as well as some rather engaging characters. The only reason why this movie's not higher on my list is because I felt like the second act did kind of slow down a tiny bit. as well as the fact that the action in the movie, while is a bit crazy in some points, it's not as crazy as I was expecting. Like, people have been going, oh wow, this movie's nuts, it's chaotic, it's the craziest movie I've ever seen. And yeah, while there are some scenes that would suit that description, like the sandstorm scene, the movie just wasn't as insane or as crazy as I was expecting it. Only 1 or 2 scenes was what I was expecting. But it was still a very fun and very entertaining action movie, and it definitely deserves to be number 5 on this list. Alright, coming down at number 4, my 4th favourite movie of 2015 was... Kingsman: The Secret Service is an action movie that came out of nowhere. Nobody saw this movie coming, and it's a movie that surprised everyone. And guys, please support this movie, because it's an action movie that is not a prequel, or a sequel, or a remake, or a reboot. It came out in modern days, and it's actually really good. That is almost impossible to find nowadays, because a lot of YouTubers, myself included, just complain about the never-ending sequels. That joke was really obvious. But seriously, there are never-ending sequels. We're getting sequels, prequels, remakes, reboots. I'm really finding it funny that Back to the Future Part 2 actually got this prediction correct. But seriously, for once, and I mean for once, we get a big, epic, blockbuster action movie. It's not an independent movie, it's a big, high-budget, blockbuster action film. And it came out in blockbuster month, and it blew everyone away. It was an original, crazy, but very unique premise about British gentlemen, but they also kill you with my pinky finger, people. Please, see this movie if you haven't already. Alright, coming down to number 3, my 3rd favourite movie is, oddly enough, a movie that not a lot of people saw, and as few as the amount of people who saw this movie, even less people liked it. I thought it was a fantastic movie, and I am of course talking about... Dinosaur was a movie I was not sure what to expect, considering it was a very divisive movie. But I thought it was a really solid film. The animation in the movie looks gorgeous. Like, the backdrops, the backgrounds of the movie is photorealistic. As well as a very heartwarming and very heartbreaking at the same time relationship between a dinosaur and a little toddler. And their relationship is really well developed, despite the fact only one of them can talk and the other can't. And it leads to a very heart-wrenching scene at a beach. That scene nearly made me cry, and it was a very heartfelt movie, as well as a very enjoyable movie. I really enjoyed this movie. Alright, coming down to the very nitty-gritty here. My 2nd favourite movie of 2015 is... Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. This movie is not the best Mission Impossible movie in the series in my opinion, but it's definitely a good one. Tom Cruise is doing his own stunts and making awesome, entertaining movies because of it. Not only that, but I also feel like that the mission in this movie was actually very personal, considering it was about the Syndicate, this anti-IMF group that want to shut down IMF, and IMF overall is being shut down, and Tom Cruise, or Ethan Hunt, and the rest of his group have to deal with this problem. So they're going through a crisis, and that makes this mission much more personal, which is why I think this movie was great. It's a very fun movie, and I've seen this movie a couple times. I've seen it about twice, I believe, and I'm glad to say that unlike a lot of other movies I've seen this year, the experience watching this movie the second time was better than I watched it the first time. Like, I watched it and I thought it was okay, I thought it was a pretty good film. I watched it the second time and the third time, and it's actually been getting even better. Not the best Mission Impossible movie in the series, but it's definitely a good one. Alright, we've finally come down to the final one. If you've been around my channels for quite a while, you probably see what's coming. But if you don't, then my number 1 favorite movie of 2015 is... Inside Out was fantastic! I really need to calm down, this is just a movie. But this movie's so good! Inside Out is a movie that I absolutely adore. The animation in this movie is gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous. There is a reason why I got this on Blu-ray the instant it came out. But not only that, but I also love the design of the characters. And it's also really bright and colourful and a very fun movie. But as well as all of that, we also got a really engaging story and characters between the story that the emotions have to go through, as well as the story that Riley has to go through. And as well as this, but it's also very metaphoric and very psychological. One thing I love about this movie is how many metaphors and how psychologically correct it is. A lot of the stuff that happens in this movie is actually what happens in our proper minds, what our brain actually does. There's a lot of things explained in this movie created through literally abstract ways. It's very psychologically correct, illustrated through a beautiful, gorgeous movie with a very amazingly composed score. And it's very well directed, very well acted, as well as frequently funny. The cast is spot on for this movie. Amy Poehler as Joy, Phil Smith as Sadness, Bill Hader as Fear, Lewis Black as Anger, Mindy Kaling as Disgust. Great cast, perfect cast. This movie, I honestly have to say that this is personally my favourite movie of all time. Not just my favourite animated movie, not just my favourite movie of 2015, but I love this movie. Wow! Now that I really think about it, I think I kind of like movies. I would say that 2015 was a fantastic movie just because that one movie has come out. Inside Out is a fantastic movie, but also please check out the other 4 movies I mentioned on this list, because these are personally my favourite movies of 2015. So that is my list, but what are yours? What are your favourite movies of 2015? Whatever they are, let me know. Did you like Inside Out? Did you like Jurassic World? Did you like Avengers Age of Ultron? Did you like Force Awakens? Actually no, I bet your favourite movie of 2015 was Fantastic Four. All joking aside, but to be fully honest, as great as 2015 was for movies, in my opinion at least, there are a couple of movies that I thought were rather disappointing. And you can find out about them right here. Click here. Click this annotation if you want to see my top 5 worst movies of 2015. Check them out right here. But until then... Wait, no, I can't just do this. I have to. Give me a second. Hasta la vista, baby.